Okay, this is the Franklin County Road Committee and a video teleconference for October the 21st, 2021. And we welcome everybody. And as part of the road committee, the members are Squire Scotty Tracy, who is here, Lambert Moore, who is working on getting here, and myself, Judge Wells. So we welcome everybody, and then we have members that are here to talk about certain issues as we go through the agenda. With that being said, John, you want to, I'll start off with approval of the minutes from our June 30th, 2020 meeting, which was quite a bit ago. Squire Tracy, do you have anything to add to or change from the minutes from 2020?
No, sir.
Do you make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All right, and I second it. So the minutes have been approved from our meeting over a year ago. All right, John, let's go in. The first item are 4 bridges that you would like to talk about.
Yeah, I just want to give a little update on where we are on these bridges. This first one was Gregory Woods Bridge. You know, we had this one, it was in design mode. Last week, I think we finally got the 90%, 95% maybe completed design plans. So we're getting closer. I'm waiting on an actual stakeout now to see exactly where the bridge is going to sit, to make sure it works the way we want it to. But we're getting closer. This is a tricky one. It's probably going to have to be bid out, and I'll have to get with Robert and maybe Rick on this and try to set up. I'd like to do a timeline, like a deadline on this, give it a 30-day or something, 45 at the most completion date, because there's going to be several mile detours that several people are going to have to go around. There's no other way around it. So we've got.
In other words, when construction starts on this bridge, that area shuts down, and you're going to have to take a detour.
Yeah, all the way down to Owen County.
Yeah, it'll go plumb through Owen County. I mean, it's not an easy way, but there's no other way around.
Okay. All right, and all of these bridges, will they be part of the bridge fund?
No, I'm waiting. I was gonna ask for some 80/20 money on this Gregory Woods Bridge, but I was waiting on the completed design before we ask. I think we should be fine on that. None of the rest of them are included in any bridge money at the moment.
Okay, none of them are?
No.
All right.
Lebanon Road Bridge, I just throw that on there.
Hold on, let me make sure that Squire Tracy is, because Gregory Woods is in his district, and
Yeah.
let's make sure that he's okay. Has any questions on that?
Do you also want to note that Squire Moore has joined us?
Okay, yeah.
I don't see him, but he has, his phone appears to have.
Okay,
You, can you see me?
Oh,
no, we can't see you, but we can hear you.
gotta see. So Andrew can probably talk you through how to activate your camera, because this is the first time that Squire Moore has used the Zoom app on his phone, and you have to allow access to your camera.
I did, but it's not done it. But let's see.
Maybe your case on your phone, Lambert.
What was that wisecrack?
No, it may, the case on your phone may be covering up your camera.
No, it works.
Yeah, if you the first time you do it, if you click on the little camera button down in the app, it should bring up a little box that says, "Do you want to authorize?" And you should just click yes.
Camera button to authorization.
Yes.
See the camera button, Lambert?
Should be right next to the mute.
So we're not gonna have a meeting.
No, you go ahead. I mean, you got more on.
Okay, I still don't see the camera.
Did you push okay and then authorize?
I did.
All right, well,
Maybe-
just hang in there and just speak. Just stay where
Maybe
you
I'll
are.
leave. Maybe if I leave and come back.
No, just stay where you are. Don't worry about it. We're gonna keep going.
Okay.
Oh, are you ready? Okay, Squire Tracy, you have any questions for John about Lebanon Road?
Just, John, on your,
Gregory,
John, you mentioned timetable, trying to put a date on it. I'm sure that there'd be something in there if weather, if it rained for 4 days, those 4 days wouldn't count against the project, correct?
Right, yeah, there's always those stipulations written in those.
No. Okay, no, I think you're on point with it. I mean, it's definitely gonna be a inconvenience to drive the distance that people are gonna have to drive to circle back in. So, no, I think it's a great idea on your behalf.
Yeah, and this is basically the same type of bridge that they did on Indian Gap there several years ago. And they done the same thing. I think they had a 45-day window on that one, but I'm hoping we can get by with even a 30-day. I mean, they're pretty easy to do. It just, I think it'd be better if we bid it out and get somebody in there that can knock it out in a couple of days and be done.
okay, all right, John, you wanna talk about Lebanon Road, and Lambert may wanna say something about that?
Well, Lebanon is kind of next on my hit list. I want to go ahead and do an RFP here pretty soon and get design on that thing. Get that started because design seems like it's taking a long
Talking about
time.
the road and bridge, John.
The bridge. right
Yeah,
there,
okay,
It's 18 ton right now, so
right.
we've got to get it fixed. And according to them, if the state says if we just replace the box beams, that won't raise the limit. So it's gonna have to be from the bottom up. I mean, the whole thing's gonna have to be redone to get the weight limits back up. But that's on my list. I'm gonna, like I said, do an RFP here pretty soon for design on that.
Okay, Lambert, is this the bridge that we've got some emails about?
No,
Okay.
that's step 5, that's state bridge,
Okay,
that's state road. Roberts maybe has some information on that today, I don't know.
okay, John, notice you're on, so if you are any part of this, just speak up if you would.
I will, Judge. Thank you. And I'm all ears. I'm sure I'll get to help at some point in the future.
Okay, all right, all right. All right, John, Botkins Lane,
Botkins Lane, I don't know if you remember, I don't know, a year or so ago, maybe we did bid this thing out for some repair and couldn't get anybody to bid on it. It was too crazy. It was got some difficult ways to repair it. It's gonna have to be done. I think I was gonna try to bid it again, but I think what I'm gonna do is try to take my guys and we'll do it in-house. And it's gonna take us a little while, but we'll figure it out, and I think we can fix it and make it good. But that's coming up pretty soon. We're getting ready to start in on that.
what type of repairs are gonna be needed for it, John?
It's just mainly the abutment walls. They're all old laid up rock, basically. They're just rock that picked up out of the creek and laid up. But the only way to repair it is do a concrete face and pour some concrete on the footers and cover everything up basically. And it would be a whole lot better. We can do it. It's just gonna take a while.
Will you have to shut the bridge down to do it?
No, we can do that one and keep it open. It's no problem.
Okay. All right. Small structure bridge inspections.
I finally got all the quotes in for that a week or two ago. We've got that scheduled on court. I think next week it's on for approval for that. And that came in a whole lot cheaper than I expected this time. But that's good to go. I think we'll be okay with that. So,
Who is going to be doing the inspections, John?
DLZ, they done them, what, 4 or 5 years ago, the first time they were done. And they came in as a low price again this time.
John?
Yep.
What about the old pillar for the Stockton Bridge? Any thoughts on taking it out sometime?
Yeah, I need to do that and the old Harvey Land bridge too.
I could give you the loan of a headache ball. Swing from your big excavator.
Think it would work?
Oh yeah, it'd work. It'd get it down to where it's down low enough you could hole ram the rest or something.
Okay. That might be a good winter project. Like I said, I need to do that one and the Harvey Land too, for sure.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, John,
Mm-hmm.
while we're talking about bridges, any word on the sidewalk on the bridge going out toward the Forks? I know it's been discussed multiple times. I didn't know if y'all heard anything or not.
No, the last time I heard when they were working on it, it was going to cost an ungodly amount to repair it, and the state said they wasn't going to pay for it. So I haven't heard anything else.
I sent it to Troy, what's his name? Joe Williams, with the field rep. He's had a guy named Salzman go look at it, and they said they'd get back with me. This was just, and this was after the judges conference. I talked with them and said, I sent it to Bobby Joe Lewis, that pictures of it, went out there and took pictures and sent it. And I don't know what the issue is, but this is interesting that this is not moving very quickly at all. I don't know why it's not moving, but
Yeah.
I've done all my due diligence to try to get it moving forward, and it's not moving.
Okay,
Well,
I'm
and
sorry.
I've talked about it 1,000 times, Judge, with cabinet officials, different administrations and everything, and everybody. It's funny because it seems like it's on their radar. They just don't want to do anything about it. I guess it's going to take somebody getting hurt before they figure out that they left it out of the contract and they should have gotten it done.
Yeah, I hope that's
Can I
not-
jump in there?
Yes.
Excuse me. So I am familiar with what you're talking about. And yes, it was curious that they didn't make that improvement when they were actually working along the bridge a few years ago. But fundamentally, you should be able to make a surface a change on a sidewalk. It's not complicated to improve the condition without making it a major project.
Right.
And so, I mean, I'd be glad to talk to the current fellow with the encroachment with the cabinet. Seems to be responsive. I would love to just ask him the basic question about, can we put a surface across this thing? You can get in there with a contractor in a couple of days and put new surface across that sidewalk, across a bridge. It's not complicated.
Right.
Well, I bet, well, we'd love for you too, Jonathan.
Good luck.
All right, I will try. We'll see what happens.
I'm open to everybody. I was with Jim Gray yesterday, and I did not bring that up because I've gone through so many other channels, but I may have to take that too. But you do your contact, if you would, Jonathan, and let us know.
They'll respond better to you, Judge, or probably anybody else on this screen here. But anyway, I'll give it a shot.
Not responding to me, so that's what we're saying. So whatever.
Okay.
You forgot it. Okay. John, any more? Anything else on bridges?
No, I think I'm good on mine.
Okay. All right. Let's go to drainage.
Okay. Metal Glen, there it is. We all know what a mess it is. It has been for years and years and years. I'm sure everybody's heard the complaints out there. Almost 15 years ago, we did a little bit of work in there and tried to improve it. There's just not enough fall. It doesn't have positive drainage at all. It's all a mess. It's an actual swamp right now. You can't, we tried to mow with a mower in it and you can't, it just sinks out of sight. It doesn't work. So I've got with Mr. Otis and tried to come up with some way to fix this thing and fix it right and be done with it. I mean, it's got to be fixed and fixed right and where we can move on to something else. And Mr. Otis can explain his ideas and thoughts and a rough idea of what this thing's gonna cost.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if people have seen that I did generate a design. I think it's actually part of your packet. I didn't realize how much of my information was part of the packet, but it was. But so I did a design component, which is, as John said, it's too flat. It was designed too flat. It was laid too flat, and proof is in what's out there that it doesn't really work. So that said, and then people still want to have their yard. They still want to mow something. So we have to make it drier. So my idea was simply to put a bit of an underground storage component to it that lets it take in surface water and also the cross drain component from the roadways and then get it out the other side. And so there's a couple different ways to do that. The working conditions are probably part of what will drive up the situation because there's no access and it's just mushy, soft all the time. So I did come up with a basic design. I put a price tag out there for consideration. It really comes into, if you put something out there, you just have to see what kind of bids come in. Now, this is a little bit of a fancier system. You could come through there and just decide to cut out the back of these yards and put in, try to get more positive slope, but create a riprap drainage system, something. It's like you need to get over that you actually have a green grass in your backyard. It's a drainage easement. So there's a couple different approaches we have, but you know, you're not really going to find out the price tag until you put out a bid, if we're not going to do it.
So John, you're thinking that we wouldn't do it, that we'd hire it out to be done?
I mean, we could do it. It's gonna be kind of a lengthy process and an absolute muddy mess. But you know, that's what it is what it is. I know, you know, I have no fear that we can do it. It's just, you know, time constraints. I don't know, you know, what else is coming down the pipes. It's hard to dedicate something for a month or two, you know, to get stuff done and everything else going on. So, I don't know. I thought the option was out there. We'll throw it out and see what it looks like. And if it comes out unreasonably high, yeah, we can back up and take it on ourselves. But, you know, you can always see what's out there.
Let me jump back in and say this, based on the circumstances that you're working against, it's a hard one to get right. It's not going to be ideal at the end of the day, even after you spend whatever.
Well, I was the magistrate when we did it 15 years ago, or however long ago it was, and at that time, Randy Thompson was on there, and we came in and we dug a ditch, and they wanted, you're right, they wanted to continue with their yards, and they promised they were going to cut, and it just filled in, and that was a Band-Aid approach to it. So there was always that talk about running a pipe down through there, John, and you don't think that would ever work?
I don't think there's enough positive fall to make, to pipe it all the way. It's too flat. And another issue we've got now is, it's what, 85% of the fences that are out there are in the easement. I mean, they're in the easement, they're in the way. That's gonna hinder some of the drainage too.
Let me jump back in. So if you put in a pipe though, we think about that. If we're gonna daylight a pipe that goes through the system and still has to go out through the existing pipe, that is the end of the marsh land, you have to bring up the grade through that whole system a couple of feet to cover up the pipe. No one wants the yards changed by, 18 inches or whatever. Okay, they kind of want it to be like it is, but work. So the pipe thing seems problematic to me. A bigger single pipe versus an underground thing where you gravel and whatever, you get to store most of all that volume that's sitting underneath there and you don't have to see it.
Well, are you designing a pipe that?
Well, I've semi-designed a system that is actually the underground thing, the storage component, okay, which is what the price tag was attached to here. End of the day, you still end up with like limited cover over top of that system. You don't want to be driving your truck across the thing. Maybe your lawnmower when it's dry, but there's no grade, there's no cover without changing the yards, which goes back to partially what John was saying, is that if you start building up grade to change and make it all work through the system, you start impacting people off to the side that built inside a drainage easement.
Yeah, and access to this place is a total nightmare. I mean, there's no way to get to it without, getting some of those people to commit to letting us absolutely destroy their driveway. And I'm sure we'll have to put it back, but that's our only way in and out. I mean, everything's blocked.
Is there a drainage easement all in the back, John?
It's 100 feet wide all the way down through there,
Oh, that's what it was, yeah.
but there's no access easement to get to it. That's the thing. It boxed itself in.
I think we could probably get someone that wants it done bad enough to allow for an easement to go through, to allow for something to have to go back there.
Yeah, I mean, that's our only option. We have to get some of those people that want this done. They're gonna have to help us out.
You go back on the other end past Leatherwood, or I believe it's Leatherwood Drive, underneath the road, and it's out on that other end, and now you've got fences as that drains all right on top of that drain. What would you do on that end of it?
That end of it doesn't seem to be an issue.
But it may be if we fix it though.
Right, it may add some capacity to it, but we've fixed a few pieces of pipe. Most of that's piped out. It does pretty decent. We've cambered that end of it. It seems to work a lot better than the other side, but yeah, it may cause another issue. I don't know when we put more water in it. But it's easier to get to, that's for sure, most of it.
John, do you have any idea how many privacy fences are in the easement that would potentially have to be removed?
Well, there's
In that packet, there actually is a drawing that shows
there's
at least half a dozen. Yeah.
There's several.
And a few out structures, whatever, little storage buildings and things. Yeah.
That'll
Would
have
they
to be
have to be removed or?
Potentially they're at least within the drainage easement. Put it that way.
What was your thought, John, that they would just the back part of them would be taken down and then put back up?
I don't know, it depends on how things work. Most of the fences, some of the fences right now up under them, I mean, it's sopping wet. I'm sure it's gonna rot a lot of those fences. But then, I think they ought to be moved back a little bit, at least to get out of the easement to some degree, to allow us to get in there. I don't know whether these people are gonna maintain it. Like I said, they were supposed to mow it years ago and they didn't. And so it looks like if we fix it, then we need to be the ones mowing it, the way it sounds.
Okay. So what are you asking, John, Jonathan, are you asking for us to go out for bid just to see what the cost would be, Jonathan?
Well, I mean, I think that that's definitely one of our options to test. And then, if we decide potentially that if we're willing to start impacting people's fences and things, then that opens up a different potential answer to the improvement. So I can't say now, and it doesn't hurt other than the contractor spending their time to work on a bid that you were only test driving to put it out there. That's up to you. So, if spending whatever the number there, and again, that's not going to be the number, but if the number is part of the answer, then I don't know that it hurts to put it out there. I think that sort of system potentially is cleaner without impacting people directly. But if we're going to start impacting people and taking over the 100-foot drainage easement, then yeah, maybe you don't need to do that.
But explain once again how you're recommending to do this, Jonathan.
Well, my thing is to use a more specific design that is limited in the channel corridor. Okay, and that basically hides most of all the water that's causing all the marshy conditions. Okay, and get it from point A to point B. Well, that's a concentrated thing, but it costs more to do that. It takes more effort to take out additional material because you have to undercut all that stuff and replace it with a bunch of stone, put in these chambers and put more stone back. It's a lot of construction effort, and it costs more, but it fits more within the corridor that we have. If we want to choose a different solution that potentially is easier for the county road department to do, then we have to start thinking about widening the area of impact. And so it's kind of like, if we want to potentially impact people, then we can do it one way versus the other.
Jonathan, are you talking about leaching chambers or something more?
Yeah, no, essentially that, yeah.
Like a drain field.
It's exactly a drain field that's going to three rows of like a 12-inch high or so half chamber stone over top, fabric, whatever. Yeah, it's just a field like that to get it from A to B, come out the other side, and get out of there. Yeah.
Like a sophisticated dry well, I guess you call it.
Yeah, a long flat one. Yes, sir.
Yep. All right.
Being that I've dealt with this before, I'm not sure. I think we're probably gonna end up back in there some more. So I don't know, John. Jonathan, I'm not so sure. I like your idea.
I don't know that I like it either. No, that's fine. Yeah, I think it's still.
It's like a big septic system, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it gets out the other side cleanly, and it's darn flat. It's tricky to make all that work out.
Yeah.
I can hide it. I can hide it with all the field, more or less, but I still needs to go out the other side as part of my problem.
But the other option would be to, like I said, knock down all the fences, get them back to where they're supposed to be, out of the easement, and haul hundreds of loads of dirt after you dig all the mud out, and go in there and elevate the thing and make it drain. I mean,
And that's to put a pipe, and yes, that'd be a pipe thing. Yes.
right.
And you think a pipe, are you talking about a culvert pipe through there, John, or a French drain through there?
Yeah, we could probably hard pipe it in, most of it, and if we could get it up high enough, I think we could get some positive drainage where it would go on out. That's the thing right now, it's just too flat. I mean, there's no water, can't go anywhere.
Are you still having trouble finding dirt anymore, John?
Yeah, good dirt's hard to find, that's for sure, yeah.
What about you, Lambert?
Oh, yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it's out there, but it's expensive. I suggested to John to get with Kerry Smith when he tears that other reservoir down up at the Frankfurt Reservoir. If you needed some dirt, they'll have a whole lot there again, I think.
Yeah.
That's for a different project though.
John, I know, I'm gonna speak just for myself. Everybody else gets to speak. I think in the long run, I think we need to look at this in a comprehensive way, move the fences back. I think we need to put more dirt in and drain it out because they are ultimately gonna go down and it's gonna turn back to a swamp if the only way to make sure it doesn't turn back to a swamp is if we correct the drain and then we put a pipe in and let it get out. I just don't want to come back and do it again 15 years from now, 10 years from now, and I'm afraid if we do it the other way, we'll be back. And my vote is to have you, and I'll go and it's in Marty's district and find somebody that'll let us come in there from the side and get it and get them to move their fence back or whatever, we move the fence back and for a nominal charge or whatever you want to do, and then let's get it sloped so it'll drain and get out of there.
Judge, it's Robert.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that piping it is going to help anything because the upper head wall is only receiving water from 2 curb inlets on 330 feet of road on Wood Glen. I think the majority of what these residents are experiencing is sheet flow off the roofs and the slopes from their yards. So I think
if you make the pipe if you go ahead and do and Robert, I understand, I'm jumping in only for the moment of, if you do go ahead and make it a perf pipe, more of a trench system, then that surface runoff still gets in there. So you kind of accomplish both things, potentially with the pipe.
Do they make an 18-inch corrugated?
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, that's a French drain type thing, really, isn't it?
Well, essentially, yeah, you're doing a combination. You're putting a solid pipe through there to convey, and Robert's right. It's not a lot of road runoff from the road component. It's just all these yards go to that thing and it's sitting there flat, and there you go. It's stuck. And so that's why my thinking about the underground storage was back to, well, we need to get the surface stuff off. And if we can do positive because we build it up, then otherwise we just have an open channel. So I hear where Robert's coming from, and I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead, but you can do a perfect combination. Yes.
Will you have to raise the head wall on the upper side?
No, see, the thing is, the head wall at the upstream side, it's plenty high. Okay, and then it drops down, and then it's just after that outlet component hits the bottom channel component, and then it's just dead flat.
Well,
could have made it steeper.
Yeah. Also, I guess we need to keep in mind that the drainage basin on the western section of that subdivision drains back into this eastern section that we're referring to. So you'll have to put in a junction box or something right?
Well, that's what I asked if, and John said, John and Jonathan both said that they've got it, it's draining now.
Well, I would be, I'm definitely concerned about that next after it goes, after we get it out of this zone, what the impact it's going to have on the open drainage beyond. But that reverse drainage thing, after I looked at it harder, I think it's more of the inlet box system than it is the basin to the basin deal. I could look into that again. But I guess.
Yeah, you're thinking, okay, so we haven't cambered it or anything, have we? You thinking?
No,
it's just-
I'm only going off design plans that were done for the original deal that showed what the inlet and outlet stuff was, about how the pipes worked.
Let's see here.
So
Yeah.
the street drains go back to the area of our deal, which makes it seem like in reverse. They come back our way, but then it immediately goes to another pipe that goes, just turns corner in 3 feet and goes back out to the other
West.
way.
Okay, yeah.
So
So
it's just a weird, but
it's just 2 curb inlets, I guess.
yes, that send it back, and then otherwise, but yes, when we do this better, that next channel down behind that stretch of fences, which are more behaved than this section, we should be able to clean that channel up and get it to the next thing, I think, without it being a big deal. Open channel work.
Are we gonna do that, the other?
Yeah, I
basin?
think we'd have to think about that, yes.
I haven't been out there to look at it for years, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you build that up without going underground like Jonathan's talking about, would you be shedding water back to someone else?
Well, the slopes on both sides are coming down to the area, so if we just bring it up, it shouldn't back into them. It
Okay, okay.
just pushes the water point back a little bit closer to them.
Yeah.
There's overhead utilities right down the center of that easement also.
You know, John Mitchell, you were part of Augusta. I know Randy was there, and we put that French drain in Augusta, which is basically the same premise, except it's not street drains, it's gutter drains from 16 homes, all draining to the center back there. And initially we put, I believe Crumbo Properties put a French drain in, and then they put mud and rock, covered it with fill dirt, and it wouldn't drain. We remember we came back in and we redid it, and it's working like a charm now. It's got good drain to it, and there's been no complaints since we came back in and put it in, and then put topsoil over it. Remember that?
Yep, and that's basically the same kind of concept here, but I mean, that's just using a different style pipe, but that, you know, that would work. I mean, I don't see more or less a sock drain that would soak up a lot of that water. If we can get it, like I said, up in the air, we've got to get up somewhere to start to get some positive flow. That's, if we're gonna do that, we got to start filling, raise it up. And I don't know, we can get out there and shoot some grade and see where we need to be, but it's gonna take quite a bit of material to raise it up to get to where we need to be.
Okay. Either way, we gotta get, you know, no matter what we do, we gotta get in there. And
Yeah.
So we'll tackle that issue when we're ready to do it. So I still think the best thing to do would be to go on in there and put some dirt in and let it, and pipe it, and then let it flow out, give it a flow, and work it from there. That's just my opinion, and I don't know, you, Lambert and Scott, you may want to look at it and come back to it, but we are going to need to make a decision on it pretty soon.
Let me mention this, I'm sorry, and we'll go past this one. So going back to partially what Robert, and he's hiding from us now, but what Robert was saying, not necessarily being thrilled with the idea of a pipe. Once you do actually change the grade in the back from the inlet side, then you have the better potential of actually having a channel through there that's simple and clean. And that can work versus even doing a pipe system. If you start changing the grade in the back by a couple of feet and we get positive flow, then it could go back to the way it should have been done in the first place.
My thought, and I agree with you, but my thought is this. If we do a pipe and the way it has worked in Augusta, which is very similar to this, we wouldn't have to come back in and start cutting the grass. I was trying to avoid that the grass, it'd be incumbent upon us to do the cutting. It would go back to the neighbors. They would be able to cut the grass and we would come in, fix it, and we would be out of there, and it should work. It is working in Augusta. We don't go back and cut their grass. It's draining. We don't have swamps in the back of 8 homes back there, and it will work. Now, it's got a pretty good slope on it to go from top to bottom. And it's gonna have to be the same type of thing here, but with that slope, it will work.
Yeah, and that was small. I can't remember what size pipe those were, but that was all sock drains, what it was, just sock drain 57s.
Right, all the way down, exactly, John. Yeah, now we did where we could find, I believe we hooked their gutter spout, the gutter drain on into that ditch.
Yeah.
With them.
Yep, gutter drains and basement drains, all kinds of drains. We tied into that, yeah.
We tied everything in there that we could, which helped it tremendously.
Well, I think I'll get with Mr. Otis and we'll do a little more research and shoot some grade and scratch our head a little more and put that as another option on the table. And go look and take a look for yourself and see what you think. Go for it. It's a mess. It's got to be fixed sooner or later.
Yeah, I agree. I hate being here this long and having to redo something again. That's just, ooh, that's frustrating. Okay, Farmdale, John.
This is the Farmdale.
Back at this again, because I remember doing this years ago too.
Another one, yeah. Well, it's growed up again, full of trees and silted in. Had a lot of dirt built up in it, more or less, or not much rock at all. It's just more or less old mud built up. And these big heavy rains, every time we get one, the phone starts ringing off the wall. People are getting flooded. Everybody wants it creek cleaned out. So given the area it is and the extent of the work, it needs to be a permitted process. And Mr. Otis has been doing some homework on that, and this doesn't look very simple.
Is it not simple because one, getting in there, and two, all the trees are larger now?
Yeah, the trees are somewhat larger than they were years ago, but to do it right, you're gonna have to do pretty much that whole streamline that runs along the subdivision. And permitting it and getting the okay from whoever is probably the hardest part. But Mr. Otis can explain that to you.
Yeah, so when you work with Division Water, and I've contacted several of the people at the very top, they're very kind and helpful and responsive to the county engineer. Robert knows all these folks and so on. And so for them, the gist of it really becomes more of the permitting process requirements that they have to have versus the simplicity and the obvious logic that going in and cleaning out a channel is going to drop the water level. that part is basic, okay? That's equipment and so on to clean up and make a new channel. But because you're dealing with a regulated floodplain area on the map, and in this case, a zone AE area where it's specific to elevations and so on. When you go in there and you start making the channel changes, it starts changing the limits of the floodplain, excuse me, okay? And even though I can say, well, we really just want to go in there and clean this out, and this is going to be better for everybody, they don't really care about changing their flood limits. They can't permit it like that. The point is they have to know exactly how what you did is going to change the limits. And in order to do that, you have to do the hydraulic modeling component of this, of South Benson through there, okay? Well, we're starting at the very top of the zone AE area, okay? And there's a couple of miles of stream down through there. Well, in order to fix our 1,000 feet, they want me to have to model the 2 miles downstream. The starting point with that is a hydraulic model that was done in 1980, okay? And the printout of that is on one of those accordion things that used to get spit out of the back of your IBM printer or whatever. And you can't even read it. So I'm starting at a somewhat very difficult point because I have to duplicate that before I can even think about modifying it, just because I want to cut a simple flat bottom channel and lay it up to the sides of these people's backyards. So the problem is the permitting. The construction is easy, much easier in comparison. So I've prompted the Division of Water, a couple of different folks there more than once, about trying to either get better information, which I've already found out the answer is no, or for them to allow me to simplify the process somehow. I'm waiting for the answer if it's possible for me to simplify, which means to reduce the limits of how much I have to think about. Sorry, and that was part of your packet as well.
Oh, now put that back into layman's terms and not engineering terms.
All right.
And what the thing is, the permit process is, can't be done, or is it, or what do you, or?
No, it can be done, but it is complicated, and it's gotten more complicated even very recently about the steps, which both include what you have to submit and also the time in between the steps, because they're going to go from state level to federal. You know, this ends up including federal components, and so you have to go back and forth between those things, and they're all blended together. And they just recently changed this. So it's not that it can't be done, but my starting point is the challenge right now. If I can get past that point, then I can do it like I've done other things in the past, and it shouldn't be that big a deal. And again, this is fairly obviously not a problem. The only real question that they end up asking is whether or not, so let's say the logic is, well, we're going to bring the water limits in, people are less flooded. Okay, good job. And so if all that works, then the only thing they care about is that we didn't increase the velocity or create an impact downstream. Well, in this case, the first thing we hit is a big embankment in a farm field. And so I can pretty much say that any change in velocity that was increased, which it will dissipate very quickly. So it all works. It's just for me to be able to create that first part. You have to duplicate. Again, they did this back in 1980, and their requirements are you have to duplicate where they started and then show the change. I could show you the change right now, but I can't.
What happened back 15 years ago was we came in, the road department came in and cleaned the creek out. Is there not any way to piggyback on what that same type of process?
Well, I guess my question would be, how did they, if they did it like that and they didn't do what I'm having to do, then they can just do it again.
All we done was mowed down the little scrub trees that were growed up in there. There was no actual excavation of dirt and all that of what's built up now.
I think it's a shame you can't just go in there and knock it down like a simple maintenance project. Let me say that.
Agree.
Amen. Amen, amen.
Well, bottom line, it's gonna be an expensive and a long permitting process. Who knows, it could take 6 months to even longer to even think about getting a permit for approval. You know, then it'd take a week to do the job. But here we are. I mean, that's today's world. That's what we have to deal with. So where I'm at right now is funding this process. You know, I don't have, my engineering line item is 0. So.
Oh, I'm glad you told me that part.
Well, that's where I'm at. You know, I don't want to send us on a wild goose chase here. And I think we need to make a decision whether to let Mr. Otis go ahead with the permit process or what do we do? I mean, you know, somebody's got to answer these people because they keep calling.
And let's let Ann Northcutt, are you on? Is there any, I know the last time we talked about this, Tamara brought up hazard mitigation or something along that line. Is there anything that you know of that would fit it, be able to help us with this?
Anything that any kind of program like that would still involve the same kind of permitting process. I think this would be more along the lines of, I don't know, it's closer to like, would it be closer, Robert, to like stormwater or floodplain assistance? It's not, I don't think they'd see it as hazard mitigation. There may be some types of programs out there, but I think you're still going to be dealing with Division of Water and maybe NRCS and Corps of Engineers.
Let me jump in. And so this is interesting, and I'm sorry to jump in, but talk about the hazard component. So if this, as it actually is, at the end of the project limits, potentially, if we're taking it through that whole stretch, we're going right next to the water treatment plant, which is within the floodplain. And this project, potentially, if it takes the water level down a possible foot or so, then you could actually show that it's not going over top of the treatment pond anymore. So that could be a positive.
I think in the interim that I think you're right there, but with the plans that, for example, Division of Water is already aware of, that we're working on an interceptor system that's going to take all those plants offline.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I don't know how much traction we would get on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. They don't care anymore. That's right.
And there might be some flood hazard mitigation programs out there. I'm looking for it now. I got something from Mr. Van Pelt a couple months ago.
But let me jump back in here. So let's say that we didn't have any permitting component and you turn the road department loose to clean out a channel, 1,000 feet of channels, scrub out some trees or whatever. He's got a price tag attached to that, and they do fine work for not a lot of money. So I don't know how much grant money you'd be looking for. And if the other part is just paying for engineering, I'm not that expensive. I'm just saying that the process is difficult. So
Right.
The grant part doesn't, to me, it's a matter of how quickly we can get there to get the thing done for folks. And
I think that's a good point, John. That's a good point.
And I just, I don't know that it's worth all that effort to fish around for $20,000. I just don't know how it works. But
Well,
Okay.
Jonathan, if your modeling shows that you're lowering the BFE by a foot, are you going to end up having to do a LOMAR also?
oh, I have to. That's my thing. I told them, said, we don't really care to change the map. We just want to fix the people's backyards. It's not the way it works. And so because it is flat once you get into those yards, which is why it migrates 2 yards over. And yeah, if you take it down a foot, which 1.5 feet, I think is probably the maximum, that you're going to get out of taking it down. Okay? Then you're going to help some folks, but probably everybody that's backed up to the creek right now is still going to be within the floodplain, excuse me. Okay, and potentially get wet. So anyway, we're going to go through a lot of effort, and there's still going to be people that won't get fixed. It's a different part of this.
The committee, I'm gonna need to hear the committees say that we will commit to the engineering of it and for the permitting part of it, the cost that it's gonna take to do it. And then from there, John will, and whatever cost that John has to incur. So do you have any idea what your estimate would be to go through the permitting engineering part, Jonathan?
Well, it goes back to, if I could get that first part handed to me, it'd be a half the size number. Okay, and that's what makes it tricky. And I've spent a bit of time just trying to even get no information. So that makes it tricky. I think I threw out a minimum when John and I were talking about this. The process threw out a minimum $10,000 for me to go through, because you're talking about a map change. You're talking about several aspects. Okay, 3 different sections of Division of Water, haven't gotten into Army Corps, a map change, going back between 2 different things. They have time frames that are going to make it take probably 9 months. It makes it tricky for me to give you a good number without making it big and round. Just tell me. So if I made it bigger and rounder, I'd say $20,000. Maybe I shouldn't say anything. I'm just
permitting. For permitting, is that what you're saying? Just your cost of the cost project?
Yes, which would generally include trying to get the map change. I mean, hopefully the map change will be the easier part at the end, which is not normal. But Division of Water has been very helpful. It's just they don't have the information that they need to give me.
But they're going to require you to get that information, even though.
Yeah, and I asked them very plainly. I said, "Well, what if you all were having to do this for yourselves? How would you have done this? How would you have started?" I didn't get a good answer for that one. So they are trying to help, but they're making it a little bit of a challenge.
Well, Jonathan, remember we had a map change back in 13 and 17.
Yeah.
Division of Water contracted.
They didn't do that part.
So does that, it's a detailed study area. Does that information not?
No, they didn't do it. No, they tried. Yeah, they tried. They did do changes. And I went through that route. I mean, I begged them to get me to the bottom of what I actually need, and they know exactly what it is. They don't have it other than the hard copy from 1980.
And I mean,
that's why I was asking you about your connection with AECOM and whatever. So they went through Stantec and AECOM to try to get anything, and they did not update that. So they're still working from the 1980s hydraulic model.
And so are you not able to input those calculations into your program?
No, that goes back to one of the things that was in the attachment was 120 pages worth of the old accordion printout. They only have a hard scanned copy from 1980 that you can't read. Ooh. And it's in a engineering format that they don't even use that now. So it's an antique, and I'm supposed to duplicate that. Okay, that's the tricky starting point. So if I get past that, then whatever. So anyway, that's where we are.
All right, so
I'm sorry, Joe.
This is this is my fault. Jonathan, if you could put in writing what how you go about doing this permitting and the reasons for, and this would be your cost estimate to get a permit to clean the Farmdale Creek area in this 1,000 foot or however many 500 feet section, 500 foot section. And you get that to Robert, and then Robert will take it to the court and ask the court to commit to doing that. which will clear the way to get the process moving forward, however long it takes. That's about all I can say that we can do here.
Can we do this part though? Because I can go through those motions for you. That's fine. So let's say that we went back to 15 years ago or whatever, when John, or however long it was, and John decided that he needed to go in there and grow out some trees. John, are there trees out there right now in the channel?
Yeah.
Can we like kind of clean the thing out a little bit and not go into the permit thing? I'm sorry, I'm the engineer. I'm not supposed to say that, but
15 years ago, John, you're saying exactly what ultimately happened 15 years ago.
it's going to take a year, and potentially a year, before you can formally, unless they let you do early work. For instance, they potentially can approve the permit up to a point and let you do the work before you get your map change done. They might let you do that to save you some time, but you're still looking at 6 months plus. And at the same time, John can go in there next month and do 2/3 of what he needed to do and call it, we cleaned out the thing because it was a maintenance moment.
I'm listening, John Mitchell.
He's gonna make you tell him to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't mean to put anybody on the spot, but I'm
We
just
can
saying.
we can hand cut a few trees here and there. I don't think it's gonna make a difference. I mean, the buildup in the creek is a lot of the issue now. I mean, yeah, the trees may slow the flow down some here and there, but that's fine. I mean, the thing's not easy to get in and out of, especially when it's wet, but you know, I don't mind to try to knock down a few little trees and pack them.
That's not what I meant. Hand cutting the trees off at the ground is not what I meant. So, yeah.
I know what you mean, but you know.
Okay. Anyway, yes, Judge, I will do what you asked me to.
Okay. Tracy, Squire Moore, you okay with Jonathan giving us an estimate and taking it for the court and see if that's the process if the court would approve that?
Yeah, if we can't just get in there and clean it out like we did last time.
If John Mitchell's willing to do that, I'd be okay with that. I'd love for him to do that. As John says, and call it a day.
Of course, that's summer work, and here we are getting into fall and winter.
It would probably not. So if you get the permitting process, it'd probably coincide with the time to do it. But
So, it's either 90-degree work or 10-degree work.
no, I'd rather be at 90-degree.
Yeah. Well,
Division Water does have a guidance document on stream maintenance. And it says that you can remove obstructions, loose gravel and things of that nature. Why don't we have a conversation with Division Water for that?
yeah, because we're not going to change the stream. We're just cleaning out obstructions.
Well, ideally, we do want to change. Robert's right. He's got the connections to ask that simple question and say, yeah, that's probably fine. But ideally, if we're trying to make a difference that brings the water limits in, we really do need to go in there and cut out some better channel, because it goes from there's areas of that thing as it meanders. There's some parts of that where the channel component's only 4 feet wide. Well,
yeah.
that's
But aren't we taking it back to what it was in 1980, 1990 anyway, when they built that?
I think that's probably right. You're trying to take it back to when they channelized it before. Yeah.
Yeah. Because originally it was probably working pretty good, but people got to dumping their clippings in there and not maintaining.
Yeah, I suspect the corridor is probably a pretty clean, straight channel, and now it's all messed up.
It meandered quite a bit. There were a lot of snake bends in it. But yes, you're right, Lambert. There was a lot of clippings put in it 15 years ago when it was done, the last time it was done. All right, John, why don't you put it on your work, list when it's dry, and you all go in there and see what you can do and see what that helps, from that standpoint, and then we'll put it, and if it does, good, and if it doesn't, we'll go back with the plan that have Jonathan come up with a permit.
So we're gonna reach out for a stream obstruction approval? Stream
Yes.
obstruction removal approval? Okay, because Jonathan, you'll probably have to do water quality certification, 401.
Yeah, the water quality's changed. That nice lady, very nice lady, top dog in her thingy. She contacted me on this other part. So that's probably going to be also more complicated than it used to be. But yeah, Robert, you got your connections, and if that's what we're going to try to make a simple request and a few token exhibits, then that's cool. Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Push that easy button, Lambert. Thank you. Man,
Bill,
We're not
pick it
there
up.
yet.
Right there in the corner.
yeah, okay. All right, John, let's go to paving.
This is kind of my wish list right here, what I'd like to get done, and I'm assuming you would probably want me to try to get some discretionary funds to do this. I've got them all estimated and put together, but these are my picks. I just wanted to put them out there. And I don't have any funds at the moment, state funds, to do them, but we can ask for some discretionary funds if you would like.
We did get discretionary funds to do Shadrick Ferry. That's where that came from. So, if you want to ask for more, good, all the better.
Well, like I said, that's just my little wish list to knock out.
You have-
So,
You do an estimate of what it would cost
Yeah.
on them, or do they do it?
no, I've got it all.
Okay, and what's your estimate?
Those were like 360 something.
I should have, Tamara says it's on here, but I don't have it.
It's somewhere in that package.
I'll look it up, never mind, I'll look it up, never mind. I guess to the members of the committee, are you all okay with Hamilton Lane, Union Ridge, Sulphur Lick, Lebanon Ridge, Lebanon Road, Lebanon Ridge Inn?
Yeah.
All okay with that, Lambert? That both,
Yeah.
basically, you and Scotty. Okay, y'all okay with that? All right. The next, John, is Flex Fun Road.
Yeah, I was just gonna update everybody on these. These were approved back, a couple months ago. But they have done 3 of these. They did Burlington Lane and St. James Court and Consumer. And they're hoping to knock out a few more, weather dependent here in the next couple of weeks, but it just all waiting on the weather now. We may get them now. If not, we'll get them this spring.
Okay, so there is funding for them.
Yeah, that's all reimbursable money.
All right. Any questions on that from any of the squires, committee members on those?
So,
All right, let's, the next item, John, I'll help you with this, is the new facility. I did have KSU had a homecoming, the first part, about 2 weeks ago. And I ran into the gentleman that owns the property that's in question. And I begged him to please contact his family. He represents them, and get us an offer, come to us with an offer, have it raised to get, and come back with an offer as soon as he can. And so he said he would. And so he just, I don't know how long it's gonna take, but that's about 2 weeks ago. And so it's really kind of up in the air. And my goal is to do this with the new facility. As soon as we get the offer, we'll go with Rick, see what we can do, bring it back to court, and see if we can't close both of those pieces of property. We're already good on one. We haven't bought that yet, right, Robert? The
That's
HEB?
correct. That's
Okay, so
correct.
then they're good with that. We're waiting for this property to finalize. And then my goal would be the first part of January, Robert, we would send out an RFP for design and build a facility. That's my time frame and my thought now. I throw that out to the committee and see what you all think, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at it today at the end of October. Robert, you think that's realistic?
Yes.
Okay, if
Design,
we get an offer,
yes. Design is going to take, a good 6 months, probably.
okay.
So hopefully if we start construction next fall.
I'm surprised design would take that long. Modeling after the fire station type of thing. That type of building anyway.
Yeah, I think that'd be ideal.
Lambert, you got an idea, a thought?
No, it sounds good to me.
Squire Tracy?
It's everything's up in the air until we find out about that property.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I know.
that's the roadblock.
I know. You know, well, I'll just say that I think they'll work with us. I think, I don't know. Let's just hope that it happens soon, as soon as we can. All right, John, leaf pickup at Two Creeks.
Yeah, I received a letter from, I guess it's the HOA people in Two Creeks wanting us to do a leaf pickup in Two Creeks. And we all know that Two Creeks is a private subdivision that we do not maintain. I know I get several requests for it.
I've gotten a bunch of them too. And I told them that we would look into this last year. It came December and there were some of your buddies, Scotty, had called me about it and wanted to know. And I said I'd put it on the agenda to talk about. I really don't have a problem with it as long as we say it's going to be this time, X time, 2 days or 1 day to do it. This is when we're going to do it. And probably in December and doing it. But I yield to the other members of the court about it.
I don't mind to do it.
You don't mind either, you said, John, right?
My only concern is we make one pickup spot somewhere in that place. I don't want to drive that leaf vacuum all over that subdivision.
Yeah.
They would designate them one spot where they could take their leaves that we could get to easily.
Yeah,
And
that sounds like a plan there. That's a big subject.
yeah, and those roads are narrow and that thing doesn't fit very good on some of those little turns, and I don't want to be over in somebody's yard and tracking it up. I'm not opposed to it if we'll give them 2 separate dates or something, and if they will specify a spot that I'll go approve that we can pick up at. I'm not opposed to it.
They could do that down there by the driving range somewhere, I'm sure.
Well, said I'm leaving it up to y'all. That's my concerns, and I would agree to it if they would do that.
I like that idea.
John, I just want to put this out there. Would it be possible to do 2 pickups, one at the upper and one at the lower?
Yeah, I mean, if they've got a decent place that, you know, we can get to, like I said, I don't want to get hung up back in there. My guys don't know those roads and.
No, right. It'd have to be on the main drag,
Right.
not back corner somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's spots, I think if you work with, Tim Willard, the groundskeeper up there, I think he'll get you a spot. Scotty?
Do we push snow for
No.
No,
them? Is this gonna open up Pandora's box for the subdivision on the west side of town?
No. They're asking to come into the city, into the county, aren't they?
I have no idea. I haven't heard anything on it. That'd be downtown.
I think they've petitioned Robert about coming into the county.
News to me.
Isn't that right, Robert? That's in Lambert's district.
Which location are you referring to?
Across from the Dollar General out on US 60,
Armstrong,
Armstrong Crossing or whatever.
Oh, the road into the system, yes. They have requested that. I have to, because they all pitched in and resurfaced. We talked about it, but I don't know if I actually got a written request from them. But
yeah, I
they
haven't
did.
seen on it.
What'd
I
you
can
say,
read-
Sam? We couldn't hear you.
I have not heard or seen anything on it.
Okay. You showed me something, Robert. You have something in writing about, they were asking you, we talked about it a month or so ago about it.
All right, give me 1 second. I can look. Yeah, I remember the conversation and then I told the representative of the association out there what they needed to do. I'll go back and find that document.
Yeah. I don't think that's, we do pick up their garbage out there though. So that's another issue that, we do that.
All right, what next?
All right, so we got 2 votes. Scotty, you're not gonna vote, or what are you saying?
I didn't realize we were voting.
What do you say? Okay with it? I just, that was my question to you, and you.
Well, I'll make the motion. We pick up leaves in a single or double locations at 2 creeks.
Okay,
Right.
On a day and location, okayed by our road superintendent.
I just think this is going to spiral into more and more. I think you'll end up, next question is going to be, can you pick up tree limbs? You'll be back there picking up tree limbs. That's my only concern, my concern. Like I said, I'm
Concerned with that too. That's a definite possibility.
with
Yeah.
Squire Moore on it. You know, the road department supervisor says they can do it. So, again, that's my concern is the spiral. What's next?
all right, but you're okay with it, as long as superintendent's for it, right?
He said that they could do it.
Yes. That a yes, Scotty?
Yeah, he said I mean, John said that his guys could do it. So, I'm going to go off John's recommendation.
All right, we got it. All right, so John, if you would contact them and you all set those dates, probably the best thing to do would be the late as possible. So we don't get somebody saying, well, what about me? So that's what happened last year. All right, John, rental equipment contract bids.
This was kicked around, talked about, don't know whether we needed to do it again. It hadn't been done in about 20 years, what I can find. But back then we used to do annual bid, just for contract equipment, if we needed, some extra equipment to come in and do some stuff, we had a approved bid already, and all I had to do is pick up the phone and call them and tell them to come. We don't have that now. I didn't know whether, sometimes we do need the extra stuff and we need more equipment on a rental basis, but I'm just put it back out there. If I think we want to do it again, we can. I'll put it together and we can run it through and do it just like we do everything, just do a yearly contract on it.
Yeah, Judge, I requested this be done. It hadn't been done for quite a while, and I thought it needed to be done.
Okay. What?
How much are we spending?
It's basically stuff that the road department doesn't have, and times need without having to go out and buy it or rent a piece of equipment.
Would that fall under,
The old contract was basically renewed yearly. John might know more about that. Annual renewable contract, but I don't know when the last time it was bid out. It's been a while.
The last one I found was in 2001.
so probably, yeah, I would say it's probably better that we go on and, John, if you'll work with, Tambra, or have Amy work with Tambra, send that over, and then you all could probably, that'll probably get worked out to do it again. Okay?
Yep.
Hey, Jay, Lambert, that, you and Scotty okay with that?
I think it needs to be done. Last time we only had one contractor bid on it.
Okay. All right. Any other business?
Well, you got 10.
I'm sorry, one lane bridge, sorry, Devil's Hollow, one lane bridge, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, Robert, did you get a hold of somebody on that?
Yes, sir. I got a hold of District 5 Planning Supervisor. I've requested a Zoom meeting with him tomorrow at 11. He does say, though, that it's going to be a new project and it's too late to get into the SHIFT program for this next round of funding in 2022. However, there is an option that if the legislature gets with Matt Bullock, that this project could be added that way. So,
Okay.
but I'll know more information when I meet with him tomorrow. And then, I will talk about getting it, get with the Bluegrass ad to get the project on the list for consideration by the Transportation Committee. So, but I see it more of a road realignment and bridge relocation. Is that correct? You're wanting to take that curve out?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It's about the only way they could do it, I think.
Right, because from the aerial imagery, you can really see it choked down at the bridge. So
Yeah, they'll have a semi at least once a month that gets hung up there and has to back all the way around to the church. And if he's loaded heavy, he'll have to back all the way around to Bridgeport Benson Road. It's a real problem. You can see the guardrails tore up real bad where they hit it several times trying to get around through there.
correct. And that is a state bridge, so.
Right.
So, they would do the design and all that.
Right.
But yeah,
You meet with him tomorrow, who is it you're meeting with?
Tom Hall.
Tom, okay, and just let me know, because probably ultimately there'll need to be a request from me, a letter written from me, requesting it, so let me know what needs to happen.
Yes, sir.
Make an official request, okay?
Sounds good. John, has it been determined that the Augusta retention basin is your baby or not?
I can't answer that. I don't know for
I
certain.
think it is. I believe it is, because the other one's our baby. I don't know why this one wouldn't be.
The only
And-
maintenance agreements that our regulations require are for commercial basins. I make them sign a maintenance acceptance. Now, in the residential subdivisions, it's always been my push for the county to maintain those because they're part of the collection system from the road network.
Okay,
And John will let you know that this one in Augusta that we're referring to, homeowners did get in there and try to make some improvements, and I think they messed it up. So that's why we're having to go in. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, it's not very good. We put a pipe in there last week and that's not working. Just getting it dried up is gonna be the hard thing. It's gonna be a nightmare, but I did get some field dirt for that and I'm stockpiled on that. So if we can ever get it dried up, hopefully we can try something.
all right, that's all I had.
Scotty, you have anything else?
Yeah, Judge, just to catch you up, I'd sent you a text a week or so ago in regards to 127 North. I'm not sure if you've heard anything on it, but I know John has definitely got earfuls along with myself. They ended up doing just a resurface. So basically the ruts and the roller coasters.
There.
Yeah, the ruts and the roller coasters are still there and they're only going to get worse. The company that got the bid has they don't have the trucks. They're hauling mix about an hour away, so they have to stop. And so for every start and stop point, you got a thump. There's a bump in the road.
You hit it right where they started it from.
It's bad, Judge. I mean, it really is. Right there at the top of the hill where the ruts that were causing all the hydroplaning vehicles and spinning and wrecking and honestly loss of life and everything else there. That wasn't milled out. Again, it just turned into a resurface project. John can speak of it again. I know he's talked to the state on it. I've talked to people. I mean,
I better talk with the state about it, so.
it's pretty sad.
I think the state needs to realize that the lowest bid is not always the best bid.
Amen to that.
The
So
company did, John Mitchell, who did this? What company did it?
Louisville paving.
Louisville paving.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
You're
Oh,
hauling
Rob-
black for an hour without a heated bed, and it's not going to work out.
yeah, it's pretty bad. It is. It's just downright bad.
What I need to do, John Mitchell, I want you to write, send me an email, send Tamara an email on, about the difficulty, what's happened, the state road number. And I will write a letter, because obviously you've talked to the state and they're not doing anything. I'll write a letter, send it to Matt Bullock, requesting something be done, to alleviate I guess the inefficient way that this road was paved.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I do appreciate your help, Judge. And then also on the leaf collection, do we need to get with Sparks to make sure that there's something drawn up that basically says what the county road department's coming in to do?
We've got another meeting with Rick Sparks in just a minute. We'll put that on the agenda to ask him about that if it needs to be.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, in addition to what Squire Tracy's saying, we also might want in there a release for any damage or anything. That's probably, because I don't want them saying we came in and damaged the road or something. Now, if we knock over a mailbox, I mean, that's one thing, but if we damage their road or they claim we damaged the road, then, it's our word against theirs, so.
I don't, but we do want to I want you to remember that we're already in there doing things. We're already in there for garbage pickup, and I don't think we have anything like that for them.
Well, we're not. I mean, there's a company that handles garbage pickup, but as far as county vehicles in there doing work. Again, just want to make sure that we do our due diligence and the county attorney is aware of it. And that if anything, as far as an agreement needs to be in place, that we dot our i's and cross our t's.
You know, we're gonna talk to him 5 minutes. As a matter of fact, we're late right now talking with him, so. We
Sounds
got it.
good.
Anything else? Anything else? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
All right, seconded, Squire Moore, you good? Squire Moore, you ready? You okay to adjourn? He's off. Okay, I'll second it to adjourn. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching, those that were watching this. Thank you, and thank you for all of you for your input. We appreciate it. Have a good day.